Let me ask you something. Does it feel like your CPA firm is just swamped, busier than ever, but when you look at the profits, they just don't match up with all that hard work? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into a pretty fundamental shift for modern CPA firms, a move away from just working harder and towards building a smarter, way more efficient way to operate.
Yeah, I bet that question really hits home for a lot of you, right? The workload just keeps piling up, your best people are totally stretched thin, yet that bottom line, it's just not moving. So what is the disconnect? Let's get into the root of this very common frustration.
You know, the old way of thinking about growth was pretty simple. More work, just hire more people, get a bigger office. Easy. But that's not the world we live in anymore, is it? Today's reality is just so much more complex. Good talent is hard to find, margins are getting squeezed, and clients expect more, faster. It's pretty clear the old playbook just doesn't work.
Okay, so if the old model is officially broken, what's really holding you back from growing? I can tell you, it's almost certainly not a lack of demand. In fact, most firms have plenty of potential clients who'd love to work with them. The real issue is somewhere else entirely. And this is the absolute heart of the issue. Your firm probably isn't struggling to find new business. No, it's struggling to handle the business it already has. The real bottleneck, the thing that's stifling your growth and making everyone feel so overwhelmed, is a critical lack of capacity.
So where is all that precious time and energy going? Well, it's getting eaten alive by these things. All this necessary, but let's be honest, low-value admin work. Your sharpest, most skilled people are drowning in payroll, compliance tracking, reconciliations, and just repetitive operational tasks. This is the operational quicksand that's holding your entire firm back. All right, so if capacity is the problem, but just hiring more people is off the table, what's the move? The answer is a strategic pivot. But what on earth does that actually look like in practice?
So what we're talking about here is CPA firm payroll outsourcing. And look, all that really means is partnering up with a specialized team, an external team that just handles all the payroll stuff for you. They use their own systems, they're on top of compliance, they have the trained pros. You still oversee everything, but you get to hand off the day-to-day grind to the experts.
And this is so important. Don't just think of this as a way to cut costs. That's not the main goal. Think of it more like upgrading the engine of your entire operation. You're plugging in this super efficient, specialized machine into your business and instantly boosting your capacity without all the overhead and headaches of hiring.
So you might be wondering, what makes this pivot so powerful right now? Well, the answer lies in a pretty massive global shift, specifically the rise of India as a global powerhouse for accounting services.
See, India has become this go-to hub for accounting for a few really good reasons. First, the talent. There's this huge pool of professionals who are already trained up on US GAAP and complex payroll systems. Second, the cost. You get access to these top-tier skills for a fraction of what you'd expect. Third, they are obsessed with process. Everything is documented with layers of quality checks. And finally, the time zone difference is actually a huge advantage. Work literally gets done while you sleep. Okay, so the operational benefits are obviously huge, but the real game changer here is the impact on your firm's growth. Let's dig into that, because this is where the magic really happens.
Making this shift unlocks 4 massive advantages. First, scalability. You can suddenly take on more clients without the stress of hiring. Second, focus. Your best people are now free to do what they do best, high-value advisory work. Third, stability. You're not so dangerously dependent on a few key employees anymore. And finally, predictability. Your costs become way more manageable and fixed. All of a sudden, growth isn't a source of panic. It's a deliberate choice.
And this quote just nails it. It perfectly captures the massive mental shift that happens once you solve that capacity problem. The entire conversation inside your firm changes. You stop asking, can we handle more clients? And you start asking, how fast do we want to grow? You're no longer playing defense. You're in complete control.
Okay, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. The number one question I always hear. But what about control? What about quality? And that's a totally fair question. How do you make sure the work is done right when it's not happening down the hall? Well, the secret is that professional outsourcing firms are all about systems. Seriously, everything is systematized. You start with documented workflows, so nothing is left to chance. Then you have multiple layers of quality checks built right in.
You get crystal clear performance metrics. You can track everything. There are regular audits on the process itself. And it's all running on super secure professional systems. Honestly, it's often way more burdened up than a small in-house team can manage.
So here's the big takeaway on this. You don't lose control. You actually gain visibility. You're swapping the feeling of control for real, hard data about your own operations. You'll probably know more about your processes than you ever did before.
Okay, so we've looked at the problem, the solution, and tackled that big concern about control. Let's pull back and look at the big picture. What does this pivot really mean for the future of your firm?
So who is this really for? Well, if you're a small or mid-sized firm and you just feel like you're constantly underwater, this is for you. If you're growing so fast you can't hire quick enough, this is for you. Or if you're trying to shift more into that high-value advisory role, this is absolutely for you. And look, yeah, the cost savings are great. Nobody's going to complain about that. But that's not the real prize here. The true win is the huge leap in what we call operational intelligence. It means you have clear data on performance, on turnaround times, on quality. You're building your firm on a smarter foundation, which makes you faster, more efficient, and way more competitive. This is what the future of successful CPA firms looks like. It's lean, it's global, and it's strategic. Being a great technician isn't enough anymore. Success is all about building an agile firm that can tap into global talent and is laser-focused on delivering incredible value to clients. So, when you boil it all down, the real question isn't if you should look at a model like this. The real question is, how fast do you want to grow? By taking the ceiling off your capacity, the possibilities are pretty much endless. The only thing left to decide is how quickly you want to get there.